Welcome. Wow, I had to take a cold shower before starting this conversation. Many things have been moving since we announced it, and this has been a beautiful journey that we are happy to we are happy to be showing up today. This is a topic that I won't say concern us, but it matters us all. And from where we come with this conversation is just simply uh, to retrace, to bring out a personal conversation we were having with Kevin. We are friends, we are colleagues, and we had common interest in making the balance of the sexual forces inside the groups, making a harmony or a better comprehension of this. And from there is where this talk comes, and that's why it's an honor to be presenting with Kevin, to be gifting this conversation that I believe has been very valuable. In fact, I wanted to record the previous, and because of we could not record the previous, we said, okay, let's talk, retrace, and like see what comes up in this conversation that we have. We believe we discovered something that we have not seen anybody talking, like sometimes vaguely or around it, but there was this missing piece that we don't see addressed properly. That's why we wanted to bring this conversation. And with this, I want to bring a dear friend, Kevin Crowley. Welcome, brother.
Welcome. Hello.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's been a very good morning so far. How about you?
Wonderfully, wonderfully. I just did a walk, and it's already the sun is setting here. So yeah, I've been preparing for this talk, and being very enthusiastic for this moment, brother.
Same here. I'm looking
Beautiful,
forward to it. Yeah.
beautiful. Well, would you like to introduce yourself from where you come, and
Sure.
something of
Sure.
you?
My name is Kevin Michael Crow. I'm from San Francisco, California, originally Chicago. I have been doing work in a couple different realms. In the old corporate life, I used to be in healthcare. I left the corporate life a while back, and am now pursuing what I hope will be something to add to the entire world around resilience, around mindfulness. I'm an Akashic Records consultant in the lineage that we have. I also am a Heart Math certified trainer. And for me, the key to a lot of the discussions, including today's discussion, is around heart. How do we add heart and use, whether you're talking about it from an energy center perspective or from a central location, your heart within your chest, how do you add that to leadership, to partnership, to relationship? So
Beautiful, brother. Yes, and I love having this conversation with you because I see you are a person very heart centered, and your presence always enlightens every meeting and group that we have been in. And yes, it's an honor to be having this exchange. And also, our this conversation came as the seed of this conversation came from the lineage, the Akashic Record consultants meetings that we have. We come from the place of healing, spirituality, personal development, and in these areas, all throughout my experience, I have found mainly women interested in this topic. You see, yoga, healing techniques, and all that stuff. And mainly women are in this more sensitive and more willing to do the healing work within. And that made us wonder what's going on with even in our cults. Maybe like because of some things, our cults maybe have 20% male male energy sometimes. So we were wanting to balance that, and came with this proposal of or like idea of uh, what's if men are not showing up because of fear of being judged. Do you remember this first
I
thought?
do, and I was one of those for a period of time. It's what I was wondering if that's what was happening.
Yeah. So I believe that when we have a story, a personal journey, it it is imprinted in how we see the world, right? It's like there's this saying of we don't see reality as it is; we see reality as we are, right? So I believe that this conversation brought us a lot of self awareness of, hey, why do I think that uh, men are not showing up for being judged? And I challenged that. Remember, I challenged you. I challenged that. It's like, do you really think that's the reason?
Yeah, you did. And for me, it was the initial thought was the rise of this powerful divine feminine in this period that we're in right now meant as a man, I needed to be very conscious and cognizant of what I said and how I was portraying myself and my piece in the entire in everything that was happening. And that meant that I wasn't necessarily fulfilling my role. And that caused this great question, this angst for me that took months and months and months of where within me is my balance of divine feminine and sacred masculine, and what does that look like in today's world, which is much different. The energies today in 2021 are different than we've ever had before. And so what does that mean? What does that look like? And that began this very robust conversation that we had.
Yes, and just to clarify, I understood Kevin' proposal and came directly to bring it because of when I was inviting persons to join in this talk. There was someone writing, why would two men talk about sexuality? You know what's and was like that was like two men talking about sexuality. It's like, now I can connect with that judgment, right? Like that judgment that is in there, and I believe that in a sense is kind of inhibiting or like making the repression of, hey, why us just by being men, and nobody knows anything about it. Like that person at least didn't know anything about our background, our story, how do we use the energies, and that already the judgment. I believe that uh, prejudice of just by being men, we don't have authority to say that. And it's like, wait, we are very, very different men. We are different lives. We have different paths, and we just talking about the experience of our path, what we have seen and we have found. We are not just posing as we found what is the solution of. It's like this is what we found and makes sense, and we want to bring to the table because I think that's how we build up coherence, even from the different we are.
Which is, in my mind, it's a great way to put it, because what we're talking about is um, what would be the embodiment of a higher frequency masculine energy or a higher frequency feminine energy. Nothing having to do with the physical. It's not man or woman, it's the energies that we're talking about. And what does that look like? And part of, as we were even talking about this morning, like I want to present in a higher frequency masculine this morning. I want to be dignity and authenticity, and those frequencies with their complementary counterparts within higher frequency feminine energy. And what does that look like? To listen, to be gracious and understand, and use wisdom. And that combination gets us out of what you were describing when someone suddenly starts making comment about why would you two be talking about this? The lower frequency, the more dense states that one might find in themselves in either masculine or feminine energy, and what that looks like. So
Well, in fact, we are doing this conversation. We decided to make it public as part of the solution to the problem we were finding. Because I brought that the diagnose of the problem of why men was inhibited is distorted. I think that the main problem of the disbalance keeps being stemming out because of the misdiagnose, misperception of why there are no healthy masculine reference that we can see, even from our stories. You know, I have seen many men's circle, Mindcan project, and they suddenly have this idea of the race of the feminine. It's like, wait, the bar. I'm on you. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. But suddenly, the men groups, the men circles dissolve so easily because so much feminine energy inside the men's group, and they will go into healing and making the space. That is wonderful, but does not wake up the masculine purpose. That's I pose that's needed. And there's this even today I was like watching some Gene Keys, that is a language that is very beautiful, that also we are connected with. And there's this connection with the symbols from the Romans, and there's this Mars and Venus, you know, Mars and Venus difference. And Mars are more recognized as men, you know, and Mars also is a planet of uh, ambition and drive, you know, and competence, you know, like we believe that these structures and hierarchies of competence are something that is a problem. But there's a useful part. That's why I wrote the we cannot just destroy that and try to take it out, destroy whatever archy, patriarchy, whatever, if you understand what is the purpose of it. Like there's like this kind of, now is the time of the other thing, but you don't even know what is the thing that was there, why it was, how would it be healthy, why it was there, and you're just trying to take over with something that is not being very defined. That's what I found out, that men require this building up competence. We require, even by nature, that judgment. We will face judgment, and it's healthy because you are up to the test. Are we up to the test to present, show up, present ourselves here? And yes, of course, we are going to be judged. Everybody is going to be judged in a certain way. So using that to say, hey, yeah, I know that I'm here and I'm like showing up despite that, because I can handle it, and that makes you more competent, not in a sense of competition just to take over the other, just to use that healthy masculine within to improve with yourself with the challenges presented. I think that's why sports and all that stuff attract so much men, because that's the component in there. I just want to prove myself. And when it becomes like, okay, let's just all surrender to make space for this one, men are not feeling attracted. It's like, where am I there? It's like they're not finding themselves in feminized groups that they are not working on the masculine energy too. That's what I believe, that there's this feminine energy that is raising, that is maturing as well, but we cannot leave out the healing the masculine too. That's what I post.
Agreed 100%. It has to be so. Yang and yin, great example of you can't have one without a piece of the other in existence in a healthy, balanced, equilibrium way. And conversations in groups are a great example of, even in the corporate world, going back to that realm. And that realm they've got to come along as well, have some healing around what is it that we need to do, so we can talk and we can think and we can be in our divine feminine and we can receive and have a knowing about. But if we don't actually take action, if we don't do, if we don't make it happen, then we're not fulfilling what we need to do within this life that we chose. We made that decision to come back and reincarnate this way. So we've got to take that piece of the feminine knowing and listening and being in the still point and wanting to hear exactly what has to happen, but then take action afterward and not just keep listening and listening and listening. It's beautiful up until a point. You need to take action and then be open to the judgment that's going to occur. Was this the direction you should move? Was it the direction you shouldn't move? And what happens next? And where do you go? And listen again. And allow that cycle to continue. It's the cycle of the seasons. It's everything that occurs.
Yeah, and the dance within, right? That
Mm.
dance within. Sometimes when we are like I will bring two examples. I have seen very feminine energy, men representing better feminine energy in channeling that you require, as we do in Akashic Records, you require to tune into the channel, the receptivity energy. And there are women that represent much more the masculine energy, and they, just by being women, that's a woman, doesn't represent that. It doesn't mean that they are more feminine. In fact, we were taking these essential energies of the sexuality beyond the physical, beyond even the human body, right? It's in the symbols. Is There are symbols that are, to take it more to the subtle, there are symbols that are more feminine, or movements that are more feminine, and there are other movements that are more masculine. And so you see it in the metaphysical, beyond the physical realm. And we talk a lot on this uh, little subtleties that then they decant beyond, or they manifest beyond sexuality, because even in hetero or homosexual relationships, you see who is carrying more masculine energy and more feminine. Even there are men or women, you see a match that is organic, an organic match. And maybe it can change. Even like I have much more feminine energy, uh, despite being heterosexual male. I have more feminine energy when I realize that my partner takes more masculine energy, because she needs to express her masculine energy as well, her drive, her making things happen. And sometimes she has much stronger masculine energy than me. And I just allow it because she makes things happen. And and I love it, she makes things happen and I love it. And I like to be more the receptive end. I think that dance, even within, inside of us, and with a partner, happens a lot. How have you experienced this in
Yeah,
your life?
it's a beautiful, the analogy of dance is beautiful because it really is. So in my relationship as a gay man, my partner and I, so this is a great example of where the man or the sex of the individual just doesn't matter. It's the balance of the energies, and he and I can have, is a great example. He and I can have an evening where we're cooking, or a holiday where we're cooking, and both of us are just in flow. We actually realized during a holiday recently that depending on where we were within the preparation of the meal, one of us was kind of taking charge of what was happening and making sure that everything was done, while the other was just there as assistance. And this dance occurred in the kitchen where we were just complimenting and helping each other. And that comes into play in so many aspects of life in a partnership. Um, and when you I was listening to a webinar yesterday around some of these energies, talking about it. Sometimes it's a square dance. Sometimes you hit a point, you make a move in the square dance, and you're suddenly in a completely different direction. It's the same two partners, and now they've changed places, and they're doing things so much differently than they were a second ago, but still in complement and still in that dance, and it's beautiful.
Yes. In fact, this conversation came up as part of the initiatic teachings that we have been working with. And there are combinations of different kind of energies, that there are things that are to be done both with the same kind of sexual energy, and both with different with the inverse energies. In the Andean cultures, they have a name. There's the yang and yin for different. You need a polarity, masculine, feminine, and then there are activities that or enterprises, projects that you need to do with same energy. That is massintin, yanantin and massintin. So what we are doing right now is massintin. Like we are like bringing both of us masculine energy and then balancing at the same time. But we wanted to present this project like projection, that we want to project this balanced energy, or intent of balancing the energies even within the differences, because there's let's get into the missing link that we are promising to deliver on the promise. That's what. Um, as we started at the beginning saying that there's this sometimes misunderstanding on what should be, what should be, and because we are men we should not, or we cannot. There's like this displacement in the realms of the psyche of the each person, where things should be, like there's this confusion that I see a lot, that because of not having things into place inside of each person, then there's these misunderstandings and confusion, because I believe that what is mine should be yours. This happens a lot. No, I will go later into that, but with the self-perception, like because I perceive that I am somewhere, or I am somehow, some in certain way, it doesn't mean that you perceive me the same way. There's this house of mirrors that are distorted, that I believe that is a human, a normal phenomena between us, that is generating disagreements, that is generating conflicts, and we're trying to impose what we believe that reality is on the other, and what the other should do because we believe it, but we have not really defined it. There's like these blurry lines between which are the roles of the masculine, which are the roles of the feminine, and even more, the sacred divinity masculine. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Like when I hear like these groups, of sacred masculine, sacred feminine, and divine sexuality, and you don't see even healthy sexuality. You don't see even mature. Let's I want to be humble here, before talking on sacred masculinity and femininity. Why don't we try mature first, right? Why don't we try like healthy first, instead of like trying to be the representative of the sacred feminine?
Hmm.
I know that even like there 4 people went out of the call, because I know this is the part that hurts the ego. We would like to have that there, as yes, I wanted to be here, the same things of tell me how it is to be the sacred feminine, tell me how it is the sacred masculine. And I'm just taking that um, thing that is making it so blurry, so abstract, so unattainable, because we have not built up. Hey, let's define what is at least feminine, what is at least masculine, mature it. Because I see a lot of this divine feminine, whatever, divine masculine, whatever, like I will be, but I see wounded children playing that. I see wounded children, and it's not. They're like, why not maturing that little girl? Why not maturing that little boy and heal it and heal him? That's what I saw that is of the things missing. Healthy and mature definition. What do you see and think, Kevin?
I'm so glad that you used the word mature, because there's self-responsibility that we have to, if we are on a path of enlightenment and ascension, there's self-responsibility involved in that, and we have to take a mature point of view. We have to take a mature look at ourselves first. And that's where, when I talk about the heart-based component, that's where we really do settle into the heart and ask, what is it that I'm missing? What truly is the piece here that I'm missing, that I need to take responsibility for? What do I own in this? And then from that open conversation first with yourself, to then be able to have that conversation with your partner, or in the relationships that you have, or whomever that might be next that you're going to talk to. But first and foremost, it has to start with yourself, and be so completely bluntly honest by having a conversation with your heart, and know that you've got, from a mature place, take responsibility for what the answers are that you receive.
Mm. Yes, it's beautiful. In fact, I tell it, I don't know if I have told this in the lineage, but many couples, many marriages even initiated as Akashi consultants. And it was so healing, the process of any problem, because even the co-living, the co-living can bring like so many things, right? So they had this point of, hey, I will tune with myself, I will align, I will tune into my heart and my center to see what is the real issue. If this is mine, if it's the other, if I am projecting, if I am taking over things of the other, or the other is taking space of me and I'm not. So there's this point of centering, as you are proposing. And when they say, okay, let's talk these problems once we have center, that has been life changing, because
Mhm.
we don't become a machine of generating problems, but we come to our center, we solve our own thing, and then propose what is that from that place of more clean and defined. And the lines are not blurry because you did this sometime and this is what you should do, and all the mix there of emotional and the wound and everything, so on heat. So beautiful proposal you did there.
And it doesn't lose track of the polarization component. We live in this, maybe a foot in 5D most of the time, or as often as we can, but we're still living in the 3D. And so the polarization still exists. Magnetism, relationships, when you look at relationships at that level, that polarization still needs to be there. That magnetism still needs to be there. approached from that healthy, centered place is a completely different experience than it were in the more toxic where we came from.
Totally, totally. I agree. And this is the missing link that I consider, that we try to center and kind of integrate. How many times you have heard, like I see people here joining. Thank you for joining Akashic Family too. Um, how many of you have heard integrate duality, transcend duality, go beyond it? But I think that that's the same thing of not understanding why duality is in there in first place. Duality and polarity. You need a dual to make the poles, and there's something with this polarity. There's some use. It's not like the world and the universe and whatever you believe in God is has been wrong. It's like, and we just need to neutralize everything, neutralize and just be. That's not the proposal of coming to the center to neutralize. There's this component of polarizing both poles, both energy at their full expression, so they keep the magnetism. There's full force of both of those energies working together, and not trying to just stick them there so they're like just stay in the center and or demagnetize or taking away the polarity. There's a term for this, is demasculinization or emasculinization, that they are trying to demasculinize. There's a lot of uh, coming back to one of the main issues we found of the problem of why not the men are standing up as well or showing up and being so absent, is there's a siege as well on masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
There's trying to be emasculinized. It's like that's masculine, whatever aggressive conduct is masculine and has to be castrated. Of course, the masculine will start running. Of course, there will be no men, no healthy men. There will no men showing up. If there's an attack, a siege, a persecution to masculinity, is trying to depolarize the other pole and also take over it. We see a lot of the from where I come, Argentina, and well, many of the other global situations and cultures I have seen. There's like this war that has been set between sexes. The war of sexes. It's like there's a collaboration. Yes, we are different, but it's not to be doing the things that the men are doing because the men are doing that and that, and so I should be doing it. It's like, wait, why you try to emulate the unhealthy men? Because women are trying to take the place of the unhealthy men, like go into the factory to be a slave, to be paid. And it's like, why would you want that? Instead of like checking with yourself of what naturally you feel like doing without these sides of the sexes and the cultural war we have been set on. Because we were talking this in our first talk, that I don't want to leave this out. We have a common enemy, to say it in a way. We have a common enemy. It's not masculine versus feminine. We have the thing that is blurring the lines. There's a undefinition. There's this trying to take out the responsibility to blame the other. As Kevin was saying, self-responsibility. But there's this attitude of because the other is not letting me be. It's like I propose joining together of what is blurring the lines, what is making us going against each other, and also trying to cut out the natural expressions, or the expression that each of us define, but not them to be defined and blurred. Yes, you can be whatever, beyond gender, beyond what. that starts blurring the lines, because even like in trans or in whatever kind of definitions that are, or concepts that are trying to be there, there is these both forces. There's both energies. So uh, one of the things that I want us to consider is, for example, the the biology. There's this natural tendency of women caring more, this capacity of assisting and caring more. There's no coincidence that there are certain jobs that are chosen, like more caring, more in contact with the other, looking at the eyes. Like, that is not because men are wrong, because men are insensitive, and it's there's like some biology, hormones, and there's like, and they are divine and we are different. That I believe that not accepting the difference, that we are different, is one of the problem. We are talking about diversity right now. It's a topic that is coming out a lot, diversity. But I have seen friends that they are discriminated because there are too many of them, and they need to be more diversified, so they cannot work. So those start becoming those tricky things, of, we want to be diverse, but we don't care about the individual, just for us to be diverse, but not recognizing that each person is different. You're like, by inviting another person, you're making it more diverse beyond their layers, beyond if they are whatever sex, whatever origin. It's like, I don't feel represented. I'm just entering a little bit into the political, cultural thing, but to bring it from inside, I don't feel represented by South American, Latinos, um, because I will not feel represented if there's a Latino, an Aboriginal, even if I have blood from there, because they are not me. And we cannot lose ourselves, our individuality, into a collective diversity without being the individual, without standing up for ourselves, as with our masculine, feminine, with our masculine and feminine energies together. That's what I propose, to not let this craziness, confusion that is outside, to blurry the lines, to generate confusion inside ourselves and within each other.
Yeah. So I don't know the answer from a world perspective. I don't know the answer from a culture perspective, even from a city perspective. But from an individual perspective, each of us being able to move toward that, understanding the duality that exists within us, um, going to the place of heart for the higher frequency to then come through. I mean, part of what you were talking about was that old model, the aggressive man, and the victimized woman. And there are men that can be victimized as well. It's an energy. It's not the sex component of it. It doesn't have to do with the individual, but understanding that we need to transcend those pieces. We need to understand what they are and move up beyond those frequencies, move to a higher level frequency to be able to represent differently within ourselves, first and foremost, so that then some of these other issues can be addressed and taken care of. But we can't ignore some of these pieces when it has to do with us individually. I am still embodied in this body where I recognize myself as a man, as a he and a him. Um, and what does that mean then as I begin to portray myself very confidently and comfortably with others in the relationships that we have? Yeah.
Yes, yes. And having that definition, because it's very important, the self definition, that we do it, and have like the proper use of the masculine energy, that I believe that is trying to be blurred. There's an essential purpose of the masculine energy that I found out, that is trying to be like kind of taken out. That is the lines, there's yes and there's no. The father function is that we are fighting against the man against the patriarchy, and it's like, wait, there's these little children fighting against daddy. To take it in a very simple language, is little children fight the wounded, fighting against daddy that doesn't let them do what they believe and to be free. It's like, when you see it like from like that caricature of like inside, it's like, of course we are requiring more present men. We are requiring much more reference of the father function, and not the tweaky, blurry, abstract father that is still absent, but he trying to fill that void, of the state will protect me, the whatever God will protect me, whatever thing that is being tried to be fill that space of, hey, we really need present men doing the father function, and then when we mature, we become that father function in us. So that's it's like, hey, I will not go there because I can self restrain myself into what is healthy for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I can put limits of like limits. I can put these limits of this no, because it's not good for me. This I will not allow it in my place, in the place I am responsible for. Self responsibility again, right? So it's like, you cannot have that freedom of being without having the power to put the limits and to be responsible. So I believe that that fight towards freedom without bringing up the masculine energy, is not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I invite us as well to work on the masculine. Many of the women's circle, they believe that they have to work more their feminine energy, and most of them are missing healthy masculine energy. That has happened in many times I go to a women's circle. Uh, they see a healthy masculine, and the whole structure of divine feminine, whatever, goes out. They're starting with all the shadows, the projections, and it's like, what happened with all that work? There was this energy missing, not worked inside of them.
Yeah.
So that's not visible, and nobody. It's like I don't see many people talking about this, and that's why we wanted to bring this conversation. It's like, what about women's circle working their healthy masculine energy? What about masculine circles defining that they are working feminine energy, and not just trying to take over by, okay, let's do listen to each other just because we have to respect. No, no, no. Respect is earned. That's what the masculine energy wants. It's like, why I have to respect? Let's put it to test. Like that's turns on the man. That turns like, okay, why should I give you my attention? Otherwise, just surrender without any reason for the man doesn't make sense. we need like to have like, okay, I tried. I go into position. I will place myself because I respect you, because I choose to respect you, because I have clear terms to respect you. And those terms are, I believe that they are not clear, even for the women. It's like, they're like just trained to be, everybody's trained to be agreeable, consent, just like abiding. That just abide because you have to respect. It's like, that's cannot be artificial. That just receive the information given in the school, just be passive. That this doesn't mean just feminine. This like the passive side of not doing and receiving and not even choosing what comes in, because the feminine also, by nature of what I have experienced and studied, has the role of choosing as well what she lets in.
Mm-hmm.
And she's contrary of what is being programmed, that I believe those are the common enemies, the little programs distorting this. Contrary no, I say contrary to as an antidote to those programs, it's like, you are you are free to choose, not you are free because of the lack of choice and not caring. Again, the responsibility on the feminine energy. So that's the call that I wanted to present, and I think that we discovered in a harmonious way. What input do you see here, Kevin?
Yeah, on the matter of choice, it, there's always a choice. So there's a choice to be made, but there's also the ability to change that at a later date. Um, part of what I hear, part of what I think we're talking about from a healthy perspective is that the masculine energy that is um, direct, or you might even say, and this is it can be tricky because it can be perceived differently, but tough love, the tough love component of fathering ourselves and knowing when that line has been crossed and being able to then reset based on that, and understanding that that tough love, again in a healthy way, is meant to be helpful for others, including our partners, including where we're setting those lines of distinction, and what that might look like.
Yes, yes. I believe that this father function, fathering ourselves, in psychology, as we saw in the classes as well of initiatic teachings, is crucial. We are all looking for the father, and that's why there's so much expression of father's absence. You know, like we are all looking for the father. That even if you may have had him there, but was he really there? You know, like was there really present? You know, or they're like we have so many devices to not be. You know, and for the father inside of us to not be. Just like I don't care about this, you know, I don't care about my limits, I don't care about my actions. I believe that that's um, a very powerful reference to have, right?
Yeah, and it can't just be one aspect. It has to be healthy father, healthy brother, healthy partner, because you can have one of those that's off and still be in a place where all of us have the opportunity to grow, but still be in a place where you have a huge opportunity to grow, because all three of those roles have to be very, very healthy.
Mm, yes. Here, Caroline says, as so healing not to only so healing not only for oneself when we start to embody the masculine energy, but also as a role model for the others to follow this challenging path. Totally. I totally I agree. That was just what you were saying, right? Of the different role models that we have to have them clear. Otherwise, they're blurry and someone else will define them.
Hmm.
And we will be kind of having that on the blind spot that it has been defined for us.
And
Hmm?
this is new territory. We talked a little bit in the beginning about the fact that all of this, we're in a new age, but this is new territory for us to be able to. That's why we're doing this today. So put it out there, have a conversation around it. What is agreed with? What can be refined? And the refinement is the fun part. The refinement is where the work is, but it's also the fun part of maybe not quite this way, but let's look at it like this and start to add and subtract and have conversation around the whole thing.
Yes. In fact, that's why we are opening the conversations. We have women of our lineage preparing the initiatic teachings that we have been studying as well, and also by their life experiences to present. Because we are making the stepping up of, hey, we are gathering all this wisdom, all this work of clarity and self responsibility, not just for us. We are like presenting here. So there's this topic that I know that has to be on the roles, on the archetypes of the feminine, even the mythology that is even above the archetypes. The archetypes are made from the mythologies that we are playing out, or it is playing us. The archetypes are playing us. And if we don't define and choose which we allow, which relationship we have with each of these roles, archetypes, myths that we are living, they will take over.
Hmm.
And we will become slaves of that. As most of people are just like running unconscious programming of these patterns, like and explore territory that they can choose how they feel. We have been brainwashed of I fell in love. It's like something that accidentally happened, like what if I choose what I love? What if I take responsibility and power over my desire? I desire and I define and I choose what I desire. That's way different than something random choosing over me. Cupid just chose that I fell in love to this. So I just cannot sustain anything in any direction because I don't have like a definition of myself or like a container of that I can choose where I'm going. So I believe that's a powerful topic that we're bringing, uh, and to not be as well a slave of the desire, a slave of pleasure. We
Mhm.
have been talking in the class of Merkaba, that was the balance. We will bring it again in the initiatic teachings of sexuality. On there's this looking for pleasure and the desire, and we sometimes believe that it's the same, right? There's like the blurry line even in pleasure, desire, and need. We all have needs. We all can feel pleasure, and the desires are important that they are not of the other on us, that they are our own, that we are choosing.
Mm.
And that's an explored territory. How can I choose my desires? If I am a slave of desires, all this song telling me, poor me, that love came and took over, and then I lost myself. Say, no. You can choose what quality, what level of love, I think that's a talk that has much more room to grow.
That's a good one. That's a good one for the future. Yeah.
Yes. Um, Here, Caroline says, great insight with the father, brother, and partner, Kevin. Makes me rethink my relationship to them one more time. Thanks, Kevin. Beautiful, beautiful. Let me see. I had some words here that I feel we covered beautifully. The purpose, of these different energies, like enjoying, having this pleasure and the desire matching. That why don't we try to to match this enjoyment, or as in psychology is said, the phallic joysance, like being able to enjoy being turned on by life, and feeling the whole we have. It's like we have both the whole and the turning on, if we turn ourselves on, right? uh, so I believe that makes the fulfillment. I was just like say it in symbolic language. When you have like the turning on and the whole field, I think that that's a um, self completion that goes beyond if you have a partner or not, if you're having much sex or not. You can sublimate, and a term of alchemy and psychology as well, like the sublimation of these energies to exercise your, like turn on your, as we say in the inner circle, our spiritual penis. Turn on our spiritual penis and feel and enjoy the our whole, the space within, to fill it with quality of these energies. So I think that's the inner alchemy that still has room to grow in a future talk.
Yeah.
Anything you feel sharing before we close and go to our lives?
Just to go back to we as individuals, we as men, we as brothers, we as fathers can't do this alone. And our sisters who are doing the same searching within divine feminine, and that sacred masculine within them cannot do this alone. So it is a partnership. It's the ability to be able to share and within our relationships with each other, open up this dialogue, have some conversations, start with yourself and your heart, and then go from there.
Beautiful, brother. Thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you, everybody,
You.
joining and staying in this topic. We believe it's very important, even that is there may be a lot of resistance because those little programs and subconscious programming and the perception of the world will be challenged, and that's the idea too, to challenge that. That's the idea of like, if you have like some resistance and some triggers, and that's wonderful. That's the idea, to push them. We came with masculine energy to push some buttons in case that happened, and if we did it gently and you could enjoy and find some blind spots, beautiful. That also was the kind intention to do. um we will be participating in some other talks, so please share this channel that we will announce here, more topics and presentations from what we compile from our akashic lineage, as well the teachings from what we do in the personal sessions, because we learn a lot not only from our life experiences. Every person opening the records, every person showing their many lives and patterns are teaching us things that we, in our humanity, sometimes we cannot see. So please share this video with someone who you feel would be interested. And yes, until next time. Thank you, brother. Thank you,
Thank you,
brother, for
brother.
being here.